Hello, everyone. My name is Kelechi Eke. I'm here on one-on-one with Big OB. Our guest today is Ms. Kim Brown, and she is running for judge at the precinct
254 Family District.
Family District, and she will get to tell us all about that. So, welcome, Kim.
Thank you.
Today, we really want to get to know more of who you are and why you're running, why the community, everybody should come out and vote for you.
Yes.
So please, if you may, tell us who you are, who's Kim Brown, and then we take it from there.
Well, I am a native Dallasite. And so in Oak Cliff, and I grew up in the neighborhood. My mom worked in Dallas as a nurse. My dad was actually a police officer. And I grew up with my brother and my sister, and growing up, life was perfect, right? Because our parents protected us.
Yes.
And so a little bit later on, though, I started to get involved in the community because my parents were part of the community as well. And so probably in junior high school at about 12, I started volunteering in the family shelters in Dallas. So that kind of started my experience. The 254th is a family court, and unbeknownst to me at that time, at 12, it would later lead on from starting out volunteering at age 12 at a family shelter and moving on to experiencing that in my career.
Okay, great. I like the fact that you've been involved with the community from very early age, because a lot of people running for these positions wait till now to get involved with the community because of what they want to get from the people. But even without you having this ambition, before you go into law school, before you going into even high school, you've been involved with the community in terms of service.
I have.
Yeah.
Well, working at the family shelters, you work with children. I was young at the time, so my duties really centered on working with the children. And I got a chance to see children who were coming from situations where they weren't in their best interest, right? So their parents were coming into the shelter for various reasons, and my job was to help them feel comfortable as best I could, because a lot of them at the time were coming from directly violent situations. And so they were coming in, their parents had to do a lot of work with the center, try to find a job, try to find a new place to live. And so my job was to color, read to the children, kind of make them feel at home,
Awesome.
even to the point of baking cookies to make sure that they thought of home, possibly, and smelling cookies baking.
That's great.
So that led to a passion that I had for working with families in crises. And eventually I graduated from high school. I went to Spelman College. I also went to University of Texas Law School, and then started my career as an attorney.
Oh, great. That's quite incredible. Even though you've touched on some of the questions I'm about to ask you now, why do you want this position as a judge?
Well, I have worked with Dallas County families directly as my career for 25 years now. And it's something that I've gained quite a bit of experience in and qualifications in. And it's something that I want to continue on a different level for Dallas County community. So when I started my career, I started working with Lawyers Against Domestic Violence, which is a nonprofit that directly works with the shelters and even people who have not made it to a shelter yet, to make sure that they are getting what they need, whether it's a job or a place to live, or their children are away from a violent type situation. After leaving Lawyers Against Domestic Violence, I went on to the Department of Family and Protective Services. And so, of course, that is an agency that works with children who have been neglected and abused. So I kind of continued on that same track with my family experience and working with those children. And so after that, I went into private practice. I still continuing to work in all areas of family law. I became a certified mediator. And I also been a visiting judge in this very court. And basically, a visiting judge is like almost like a substitute judge when the sitting judge can't be on the docket that day for other reasons. So they'll call me up and say, I need you to take care of my docket.
Great.
And
So the position is nothing new to you.
that's right. That's right. It's something that I have done. I've already, managed a docket. I've evaluated evidence. I've also made rulings. And so I'm hoping to continue as the permanent judge
Awesome.
after November 3rd.
That's great. In your course of career as a lawyer and now leading into becoming a judge, what are some of the difficulties that you've encountered, and how have you overcome some of those challenges?
Well, being a part of the Dallas community, obviously, for a very long time, and representing the community, you start to notice certain trends that concern me. So in looking at running for this bench, there are certain issue points that I wanted to bring to the forefront. So one of those I've already discussed, the family violence aspect, right? Very crucial to making sure that people aren't living in homes where crimes are being committed on a regular basis. Also, children aren't, made susceptible to a violent type of environment, and possibly continuing on that as a generational symptom in their family. So we want to try to address that as best we can. Also, I'm looking at, I've done a lot of work in representing CPS, children who are involved in CPS, and also their parents. So we want to make sure that, everyone gets a chance to go home to, if not their parents, go home to a relative. We would like to make sure that, a lot of children from our community aren't just placed in foster homes, away from a family type of setting. So these are some of the issues that are at the forefront of someone who would sit on a family law bench. And those are particular areas of interest for me.
Okay, great. What are some of your future goals come November? Yay, Kim is the winner. What do you plan to do with this position as a judge?
Well, the 254th in particular has gone through some interesting events. We have had the two previous sitting judges for this court have passed while on the bench. And so this court has had to experience a lot of upheaval, if you will, because they haven't had a judge to serve a full term. So that is something that I hope to address on this court, and making sure that cases are moving along like they should, and all hearings are expedited. Things that sometimes when there's upheaval in serving on that bench, that you can kind of experience, kind of a delay in cases. So I hope to do that. Also, unfortunately, or I guess unfortunately, with the pandemic that has happened, courts have begun using more electronic ways of having hearings, which before the pandemic was one of the points that I wanted to stress in the campaign, because we want attorneys to be able to expedite routine hearings, right? So you shouldn't have to come down and wait in the courtroom with a whole bunch of other people. And, for a 5-minute hearing to get a trial setting, have waited for, a 2 or 3 hour docket. So those are some of the things that I hope to incorporate in this court. So it'll make cases move along like they should. It'll give opportunities for hearings, and the families that come through there can really be able to have their issues heard. And other people who just need a routine hearing that can be handled very quickly. So it allows our taxpayer dollars to really be put, the cases that we need to really hear, to be put in front of the court.
Awesome. I like the fact that you're thinking ahead and actually using the tragic situation of the pandemic as an advantage, technology-wise. And speaking of the pandemic, how has that affected your campaign trails and preparation?
Well, we came out of the primary. And, some people have reported that we probably were going through a little bit of the pandemic beforehand, back in March. So we came home from the polls on that March 3rd, and then, everything started to shut down.
Yeah.
So it was a very unusual time. Of course, we were campaigning very hard, and so we didn't have a chance to go and pick up paper towels and paper that we needed at the store. So we were kind of, I guess, running for the scraps at that point.
Yeah.
But as far as the campaign, we've had to sit and really look at how we handle getting material and the message out to voters. We've also had our peaceful protest to occur during the same time as well. So our best campaign measures will be what we've done in the past: to use our social media, to use our mailing, to use our phone banking, to use our emailing, anything that we can do to keep our voters safe but still get the message out.
Right.
So those are the techniques that we will probably use to get the information out to people by November.
Okay, great. So, in summary, if you will tell the audience, the people watching this, why should they vote for Kim Brown?
Well, you should vote for Kim Brown. I am the most experienced and qualified candidate for this position. I do have a Republican opponent, and so it's very important that we get the message out to you. We also want to make sure that you're registered to vote. We have a lot of people, especially our young people, who want to voice their vote. So I want them to make sure that they get the information they need to be ready to vote and to go into those polls. It's very important that you can go to my site, kimbrownforjudge.com, or you can go to registeredtovote.org. This link is also on my site. And basically, if you do not know if you're registered to vote, you can find that out. If you want to register to vote, you can also do that on that site. I want you to know that November 3rd is the general election day. 2 weeks before that will be the early voting. Please try to early vote if you can get that on your schedule, because lines will be long. So it's very important, so that you don't get discouraged from standing in a line, that you go as early as possible. Please also know that I need for you to vote all the way down the ballot. Please vote for Kim Brown. I'm down at 254 Family District Court. And also know that we no longer have straight ticket voting. If you all voted in the primary, you realize that. If you're just coming into the general election, you can still vote. Don't worry about that. But just know that you cannot just go in and press one button. You have to go down the ballot and vote in each race. And it doesn't take very long, but we need for you to realize that. I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Kim.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
I
all the
appreciate
best in November, and I'm confident that you will come up on top, because you deserve this position. You've worked so hard. You're quite experienced on the job. You've actually done the job on a part-time basis, so I see no reason why people shouldn't go out there and vote for you to continue the good work that you have been doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.